The Chiefs are one step closer to the championship again, and Andy Reid is happy with the way things are going, but he's not getting the performance he expects from some of his players. So Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins are a duo that hasn't been talked about enough, and I have a real reason for bringing this up right now. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs team in general, everything is obviously coming together. The offense has looked much better since the return of Hollywood Brown. However, one thing we haven't really discussed is the dynamic between Travis Kelce and DeAndre Hopkins. Now, Travis Kelce hasn't been talked about as much because, let's face it, he hasn't been the same dominant regular season player we're used to seeing. A 33-year-old man isn't going to keep putting up 1,000-yard seasons every single year. Let's be realistic. But Kelce is still very, very good. He always shows up in the playoffs and lives for those big moments. And we all know that when the stakes are high, Travis Kelce will ball out. Even if you're a Chiefs hater, you can't deny that Kelce and Patrick Mahomes always step up in the playoffs. Now, let's add DeAndre Hopkins to the mix. He's arguably even hungrier than Kelce at this point. Not to say that Kelce isn't hungry, but Hopkins is still chasing his first Super Bowl ring. That's a huge motivator. Hopkins will absolutely pour everything he has into this playoff run, his blood, sweat, and tears, because that first ring means everything, especially as he nears the end of his career. The reason I'm focusing on Kelce and Hopkins as a duo instead of pairing Kelce with Mahomes or someone else like Hollywood Brown is because they share a similar role on the field. Both thrive in the short to intermediate passing game. They excel at finding soft spots in the defense, making those crucial 5-yard catches and turning them into 10 or 15-yard gains. That's how they'll make a huge impact for the Chiefs. This Chiefs offense is going to present so many problems for opposing defenses with players like Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Kelce, and Hopkins all on the field at the same time. Defenses will have to pick their poison. Do they focus on the deep threats like Hollywood and Worthy, or do they try to contain Kelce and Hopkins in the short to intermediate game? And let's not forget how creative Andy Reid and Mahomes get with their play calling. The playoffs are going to be a lot of fun. I can see the Chiefs coming out hot against the Houston Texans, jumping to an early lead and making a statement. They have every reason to dominate, especially with Mahomes having something to prove. He was snubbed from the Pro Bowl and didn't get any All-Pro votes despite leading the team to a great record. Now, that kind of thing probably fuels him. It's not going to make him play badly. It's going to make him play great. Patrick Mahomes is probably a little mad at himself because he might feel like he could have played better. But let's be real. When you lose your WR1 3 games into the season and your DWR2 before the season even starts, it's hard to recover from that. For Patrick Mahomes to bounce back and lead this team to the number one seed, and for the Chiefs to be healthy and ready to chase another championship, they absolutely deserve it. That's why I believe it's going to be very tough for anyone to stop this team. I mean, just look at their weapons. You've got Hopkins and Kelce dominating the intermediate routes while Worthy and Hollywood stretch the field with deep balls. This offense is stacked, and the playoffs are going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. The Houston Texans defense looks solid against the Chargers, but let's be honest, they can't replicate that success against us. Playing in a dome is one thing, but playing at Arrowhead is a whole different story. Arrowhead in the freezing cold is brutal, and while the cold won't bother the Chiefs, it's definitely going to affect C.J. Stroud and the Texans. Stroud is going to be rattled. The Texans are going to be rattled. It's just not easy to come into Arrowhead and win, especially in the playoffs. Arrowhead is one of the toughest environments in the NFL. You've got the freezing cold, the deafening crowd noise, and all the pressure against you. Stroud is still young, and I don't see him getting it done against us. Honestly, he'll probably throw multiple interceptions, maybe 3 or 4, just like we've seen with other quarterbacks like Justin Herbert and Jordan Love. The Chiefs will dominate the Texans and win that game easily. After that, I predict we'll face the Baltimore Ravens. That's going to be a tough matchup, especially since they've added Derrick Henry to their roster, but I still think we'll come out on top. Then it's on to the Super Bowl, where we'll probably face the Detroit Lions. My prediction: the Chiefs win it all. This Chiefs offense is terrifying. The scariest part is that no one has film on this version of the offense. Injuries kept players like Hollywood, Worthy, Kelce, and Hopkins from being on the field together for most of the season. Now that they're healthy, opposing defenses won't know what to expect. I just don't see anyone stopping this team unless there's an injury, which we're not even going to put into the universe. With the way this offense is shaping up, the NFL might just be cooked. The difference between the Chiefs and everyone else is that this offense is stacked, and Hopkins and Kelce are about to go nuclear in the playoffs. Add Worthy and Hollywood into the mix, and it's just too much for any defense to handle. A bye week doesn't mean total rest for the Kansas City Chiefs. This Friday, the team returned to the field fully focused and preparing for the next battle. With the playoffs approaching, it's time to fine-tune every detail and ensure we're ready to defend our title as Super Bowl champions. There's no room for slip-ups, and the players know it. After a few days of well-deserved rest, the team has come back sharp. According to Coach Andy Reid, the players are working hard to shake off the rust and get in shape for the challenges ahead. This dedication reflects the commitment of every player to the team's ultimate goal, another run at the Lombardi Trophy. What makes this even more exciting is the positive news from the medical department. Key players who were out of action are starting to return, and they're ready to make a big impact in the playoffs. And that's what we'll talk about now, because there's plenty to celebrate in Chiefs Kingdom. The first name that stood out in practice is Jalen Watson. The cornerback had been dealing with an ankle injury he suffered against the 49ers, which kept him sidelined for months. But now the story has changed. Watson has returned to practice and looked phenomenal in individual drills. Coach Reid even mentioned that he's moving really well, a strong sign he'll be ready to step up when it matters most. And that's not all. Another huge highlight is the return of our defensive powerhouse, Chris Jones. After dealing with a calf injury that caused him to miss the game against the Broncos in Week 18, Jones is back in action. His presence on the field is vital for leading the defense and applying pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Who's excited to see Chris Jones back at his peak? The good news doesn't stop there. Isaiah Pacheco, our star running back, is also back. Despite dealing with painful rib injuries, Pacheco has shown incredible determination, actively participating in practice. His role in our ground attack is critical, especially when it comes to balancing the offensive game during high-stakes moments. But wait, there's more. Offensive lineman Jawayne Taylor has returned after dealing with a knee injury. His presence is essential for protecting Patrick Mahomes, especially against aggressive defenses in the playoffs. Additionally, Shamari Connor is back on the field after battling a concussion and shoulder injury. He's practicing at full intensity and adjusting back to game speed. Coach Reid noted that everyone practiced today and is doing well, a rare bit of praise that should excite fans. This reflects not only the hard work being done in practice, but also the growing confidence and focus within the team. These returns couldn't come at a better time. The playoffs are the most critical moment of the year, and having a healthy and motivated squad makes all the difference. The return of these key players boosts team morale and sends a clear message to the competition. We're ready for any challenge. Arrowhead Stadium is a fortress, especially in the playoffs. The cold weather, the deafening crowd noise, and the hostile environment make it one of the toughest places to play. Opposing teams, especially young quarterbacks like C.J. Stroud, will struggle to perform under that kind of pressure. The Texans' defense looked good against the Chargers, but replicating that success at Arrowhead is a different story. The Chiefs are ready, and the Texans will have a hard time keeping up. Looking ahead, I predict the Chiefs will dominate the Texans, then face the Baltimore Ravens. That game will be tough, especially with Derrick Henry in their lineup, but I believe we'll come out on top. After that, it's on to the Super Bowl, where I see us defeating the Detroit Lions to secure another championship. The fact that this offense has no significant game film from this season makes them even scarier. Injuries kept key players like Hollywood, Worthy, Kelce, and Hopkins from playing together consistently, but now they're healthy. Opposing defenses have no idea what's coming. Forcing sacks, collapsing the pocket, and inspiring teammates with his energy and intensity, Chris Jones does it all. His presence on the field transforms our defense, especially in the playoffs, where a single decisive defensive play can change the game. Chris Jones is exactly the type of player who can deliver in those moments. Chiefs Kingdom, who isn't excited to see Jones back in action? He's a cornerstone of our title defense, and having him healthy boosts our confidence against any offensive line we'll face. Now let's talk about Isaiah Pacheco. He may be young, but he's already proven to be the engine of our ground game. Despite dealing with sore ribs, Pacheco returned to practice with the same relentless drive and determination that fans have come to admire. He's not just an explosive runner. He's a player who gives 110% on every snap. Controlling the clock with a strong running game is essential in the playoffs, and Pacheco is the perfect weapon. He has the power to fight through defenders for tough yards and the speed to find open lanes for game-changing runs. His versatility adds another layer to the Chiefs' offense, giving Patrick Mahomes even more options to move the ball. Watching Pacheco bulldoze through defenses is pure excitement, and with him healthy, the Chiefs' offense becomes even more dangerous and unpredictable. Another major boost for the Chiefs is the return of Jawan Taylor. The offensive line is the foundation of any successful offense, and having Taylor back is crucial for protecting Mahomes and establishing our running game. Taylor has been a rock all season, and his return reinforces the line against the aggressive defenses we'll face in the playoffs. Opponents know that pressuring Mahomes is their best shot at stopping the Chiefs, but with Taylor anchoring the line, blitzes will be neutralized and running lanes will open up. His return is more than just a technical advantage, it's psychological too. Knowing Taylor is in the lineup gives Mahomes extra confidence to make bold, precise throws. That means our offense will continue being the nightmare no defense wants to face. We can't forget Shamari Connor, who's also back in training after dealing with multiple injuries. Connor's versatility on defense is a secret weapon for the playoffs. Whether it's covering receivers or shutting down the run, Connor is the type of player who steps up in critical moments. Connor's resilience has been remarkable. Despite his setbacks, he's returned with focus and energy, ready to contribute when it matters most. His presence adds depth to the defensive roster, giving the Chiefs the flexibility to counter any offensive scheme. That's what makes this team special. The depth and collective strength of every player. With the team getting healthy and locked in, the next step is identifying our first divisional round opponent. Whoever it is, one thing is certain, it'll be an intense and emotional matchup. But let's face it, Chiefs Kingdom, with Mahomes at the helm and key players back in action, we're ready for any challenge. Home field advantage is another major weapon in our arsenal. Arrowhead Stadium is where opponents' dreams come to die. The energy of the fans, combined with the team's confidence, creates an environment that's nearly impossible for visitors to overcome. The noise of Arrowhead will once again be a game-changing factor, giving us the edge against anyone brave enough to face us. So who will be the next victim? Comment below with your predictions for our first opponent and how you think the team should prepare. Let's show the world why we're the reigning Super Bowl champions. The energy behind the scenes at the Kansas City Chiefs is contagious. Players and coaches are working in perfect sync, fine-tuning every detail to ensure the team is at its peak physically and mentally for the playoffs. This week has been all about preparation, dedication, and focus. Chiefs Kingdom, it's time to defend the title and chase another Lombardi trophy. Go Chiefs!